wonder what pocket I put it in.
Let's see, he doesn't have a fly. But you're not allowed to point. I really want to.
Keep it, I have extras.
Oh, sure? I lost it. I know. I got thinking you were probably not right this second. That was November. Well, then, I guess you don't count about it. No, she was in November, or October, when she said family settlement. Freeze.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board, I'd like a motion to approve the agenda of January 18th, 2024 as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. First up, we have special recognitions. Ms. Jen Jules.
Thank you, President Bertrand. Thank you, President Bertrand. Tonight, we are celebrating some amazing educators from across the district who have recently received or renewed the highest credential in the teaching profession, the National Board Certification. And here to introduce them and tell you a little more about the certification process is Director of Adult Learning, Dr. Jesse Altman.
Good evening, Board. Francis Howell is proud to announce 8 teachers in the district have earned or renewed their National Board Certification. Overall, the district has nearly 50 teachers who have achieved this distinction. National Board Certified teachers are highly accomplished educators who meet high and rigorous standards. Like Board Certified doctors and accountants, teachers who receive National Board Certification have met stringent standards through intensive study, expert evaluation, self-assessment, and peer review. The certification is a voluntary process in which teachers work to advance the quality of teaching and learning. We would like to congratulate 2 educators as our newest National Board Certified teachers in the district. Jordan Keel is a journalism teacher at Francis Howell North. She has been teaching for 10 years and in Francis Howell for all 10 years. Congratulations, Jordan. And Sarah Lipka is a special education teacher at Meadows Parkway Early Childhood. She has been teaching for 10 years and at Francis Howell for 8. Congratulations, Sarah. A National Board Teaching Certificate is valid for 10 years with the opportunity to renew certification. Renewal is a personal and public statement about a teacher's commitment to the profession and to their students. Accomplished teachers recognize that their professional learning and growth never ends. In any given subject and developmental area, best practice and knowledge are constantly evolving. At the same time, changes in technology and policy affect every aspect of education, from the classroom to administration. Francis Howell has 6 National Board Certified teachers who have recently renewed their certification, so we want to congratulate and honor them. First off, Dr. Ginger Heron is a band director at Bryan Middle School. She's been teaching for 19 years and at Francis Howell for 13. Congratulations, Ginger. Kelly Heslin is a gifted education specialist at Daniel Boone Elementary. She has been an educator for 19 years and at Francis Howell for 13. Congratulations, Kelly. Kevin Hollinger is a teacher of students with visual impairment and an orientation and mobility specialist. He has been teaching and with the district for 25 years. Missy Kelly is a gifted education specialist at Warren Elementary. She's been teaching for 21 years, and 13 of those years have been in Francis Howell. Congratulations, Missy. Natalie Morris is a 4th grade teacher at Cosley Elementary. She's been teaching for 18 years, all in Francis Howell. Congratulations, Natalie. And one renewal could not be here this evening, but we do want to honor and recognize her. Tara Richards is a geography teacher at Francis Howell Middle School. She's been an educator for 20 years, and all 20 have been at Francis Howell. So congratulations to Tara. So just another big round of applause to all of these outstanding educators. A lot of time and dedication.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Altman. Next up is our Student Board Representative. And as you know, the purpose of the Student Board Rep program is to honor and recognize talented students, elevate student voice, and provide growth opportunities in the areas of public speaking, leadership, and governance. Students are selected for this honor by their principal with input from the student body. They have an opportunity to prepare and deliver a short speech to the board and public that is focused on their school or the district. And with that, I'll invite Dr. Brian Rich to the podium to introduce our Student Board Rep from Hollenbeck Middle School.
Thank you, Board of Education. It's my pleasure to be here. It's the first opportunity to face you all. As you know, I'm a new administrator to Francis Howell. Not new to administration, but I can say, having been in other spaces and other places as a leader of students and teachers, Francis Howell over the last few months has started to feel like home. And so I can tell you it is my distinct pleasure to not waste any more time to bring to the podium an incredibly talented 7th grade student. He and a couple of other talented students join me on the morning announcements every morning. So public speaking is something of a hobby when it comes to Isaac Sproul. Please, a warm round of applause for our very talented 7th grade student, Isaac Sproul. Let's give it up.
Thank you, Dr. Rich. Good evening and buenas tardes, esteemed members of the Francis Howell School District Board of Education. and the respected administrators, teachers, and fellow students. I stand before you today with immense gratitude and a sense of purpose as a 7th grade student at Hollenbeck Middle School. Firstly, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to this board for the unwavering support, guidance, and opportunities you provide for students like me across the district. Your commitment to fostering excellence, innovation, and inclusivity has not gone unnoticed, and for that, I am truly thankful. One of my highlights of my middle school journey that has been far the valuable experience of being part of the student team of leadership at Hollenbeck. This initiative has not only empowered the student body, but also countless other students to actively engage, collaborate, and contribute to our school community in meaningful ways. Throughout leadership, we have been given a platform to voice our ideas, concerns, and admirations for fostering a sense of ownership and pride in our educational environment. Particularly, an impactful endeavor for our leadership team has been our collaborations with the district's mobile market, a commendable initiative that serves as a food bank providing essential skills and resources for individuals and families within our community. Throughout our active involvement, the district service, we have witnessed the firsthand profound impact of a collaborative effort in compassion and commitment to addressing food insecurity and supporting our neighbors in challenging times. This engagement with the student team of leadership has been instrumental in bridging the gap between administration, faculty, and the student body. By fostering an open dialogue, collaborative decision-making, and mutual respect, we have been able to initiate positive changes, implement innovative ideas, and cultivate a sense of unity and purpose among our peers. This collaborative approach has empowered us to take ownership of our educational journey and embrace leadership roles and develop skills that serve us all well beyond the classroom walls. Furthermore, I believe that the success of a student leadership team is a testament to the transformative power of student engagement and empowerment by investing in programs, initiatives, and opportunities that provide student voice, agency, and leadership development. We can create a more inclusive and vibrant learning environment for all. In conclusion, as a proud member of Hollenbeck Middle School and the broader Francis Howell School District, I'm committed to continuing my growth of student journey and learning and service. I'm immensely grateful for the opportunities and guidance that has been provided by this board, and I look forward to collaborating with each one of you to ensure that every student has the resources, opportunities, and support they need to thrive. Thank you once again for the dedication, commitment, and unwavering belief and potential of every student. Together, we can continue to inspire and shape the One Howell family. Thank you.
Can you just, there you go. There you go. Perfect. All right.
Thank you.
We ready? You get to come with me, bud.
Now, normally the student would take a seat at the dais, but he is actually going to be part of the spotlight presentation tonight. So I'm going to invite Isaac and Dr. Rich back to the podium to talk to you more about the Hollenbeck Student Team of Leadership.
Yeah, once again, Board of Ed, when you have somebody this talented in-house, you'll forgive me for being behind the scenes with this presentation, yeah? This is the Hollenbeck Spotlight, and without further ado, Student Team of Leadership, as Isaac alluded to in his brief presentation. We're going to stretch out a little bit, show you guys some photos, got a little video as well. But at this point in time, it's my distinct pleasure to not only reintroduce Isaac, but our talented educator, Ms. Andrea Menino, who is our STL leader. Without further ado, I give it up for Isaac and Ms. Menino. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, board. So the Student Team of Leadership consists of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students that are welcomed. Ms. Menino approves applications by grade, teacher input, and student rationale, why they want to be in the Student Team of Leadership. And a total of 50 members are just accepted every school year.
And just a quick little note here, our team helps to create a positive school climate for all of our students, our staff, support staff, everybody. And we just expect these kids to show respect, responsibility, kindness, and honesty throughout their days, even when people aren't watching what they're doing.
One of our biggest highlights are our district's mobile market. Since 2018, STL has committed to volunteering at the monthly mobile market. It is our second Wednesday of every month. The Student Team of Leadership and the mobile market volunteers have truly become a family. We packages food and prepares meals for our community and members in needs. Our STL motto that we go by for our mobile market is, if you see someone older than you carrying a box, you grab it and carry it forward. We are truly honored for that motto. We act very responsible, and maturity is essential in order to be there.
It's kind of funny because I do. Anytime I say, if someone's older than you carrying a box, go get that box. And if you have time to clean, you have time to clean. And so we're walking around picking up, and I couldn't ask for a better group. Maturity is very well expected because we see students from the community that come in and out of the mobile market, and they treat them like they do any other community member. So it's such a good feeling. We have so many compliments on just the way they act. and I get to teach a little bit of work ethic in there, just some skills on human relations. And so it's a great group of kids to have, and we really appreciate Sodexo and the mobile market that lets us do that every month.
And without further ado, I would like to present to you guys that during Thanksgiving week, we made the news.
District is giving back to the St. Charles County community. Today, students from Hollenbeck and Barnwell Middle Schools helped distribute 150 Thanksgiving meals to those in need. Residents were able to pick up a turkey and all the fixings. The meal giveaway was in partnership with the district's food service provider, Sodexo.
One of our also big annual events that we do at Hollenbeck is our Turkey Trot. This annual tradition is a 1-mile run around the campus. Students and staff are encouraged for good exercise and health during the holidays. This tradition goes all the way back to the 80s when Miss Menino was actually a student in the district. That was like yesterday.
I ran the Turkey Trot back in the 80s at Howell Middle School. I did.
Participants are asked to bring 2 canned food items that will go and are donated to our mobile market. STL members host a school-wide assembly to announce the winners, and first place winners get an actual turkey.
And there's nothing more exciting than the whole school coming out and they line the course with our Hawk Hour classes and they cheer on their teachers, they cheer on their staff. They cheered on Dr. Rich this year. I think maybe next year he might.
Yeah, sidebar, I made the mistake of trying to compete with the 8th graders. Next year I'll be running with the 6th graders.
Which our 8th grade, we've had the same guys and girls in 8th grade that ran 6th, 7th, and 8th. And so it's just a great feeling seeing them and getting the turkeys for the winners and watching the whole school participate. It's a great, and then our canned goods are donated towards our mobile market for their food pantry.
And another big thing that we are launching next week is our Tab Top fundraiser. This Hollenbeck Middle School tradition supports the Ronald McDonald House charities. This is a school-wide competition of tabs collected per Hawk Hour. Student Team of Leadership raises awareness for the Ronald McDonald House charities by sharing our mission to all HMS students and explaining how Tab Tops supports the Ronald McDonald House. Students participate in STL in our annual Tab Top pandemonium. Tabs are dropped off and weighed.
So we take the students to the Ronald McDonald House, and when we drop off all of our can tabs, which in the past 10 years, we've donated over 500 pounds of can tabs at Hollenbeck. So the families are asked to donate $5 a night if they can, but no families are left untreated. So we think of one sandwich bag that you fill, Ziploc baggie, will pay for a family for a night, and that pays for food and toiletries and their overnight bedding and showers and laundry. So, and the kids get to take a tour, see what it's like, see where the food service is upstairs, and see the rooms. So it's a really nice experience for them to give back to the community.
Thank you, Ms. Menino. And a big one, that, once again, an annual tradition that is in partnership with the Hollenbeck Middle School Band is our spectacular. The Student Team of Leadership partners with Ms. Doherty's band for a Halloween concert to promote the Hollenbeck Middle School Band program to our community. STL helps by decorating the halls and providing a fun and safe trick-or-treating for our community. Students and staff and the community members dress up in their favorite costumes while trick-or-treating through our halls.
So it's a great way just to get our future Francis Howell students, our little young ones, they come running through the hallways, and all the STL kids are giving out candy. And we know it's safe, we know it's fun. The principals and the teachers are all sweating afterwards, and the kids are just bouncing up and down with bags and bags full of candy. So it's a great way to share our band. And I started kindergarten at Francis Howell and graduated Francis Howell, so we're working on that next group of kids coming up through our band programs too. So, thank you.
Immensely, we want to thank you, all you guys that are here and our board members, for this opportunity of me and our Student Team of Leadership to be here for our spotlight. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Isaac. Great job on that. That was pretty impressive. Do you do all that by yourself, or do you have a big team helping you?
I do have that big support team from my school helping me along the way, and I'm greatly, immensely honored to be here in front of this board.
Well, we are sure glad you're here. I'm Mrs. Stiglich. On behalf of the Board of Education, President Bertrand, Vice President Cook, and Treasurer Jim Peschker, and the rest of our directors, we want you to know that we are so glad you're here with us. And You're welcome to ask any questions as we go along. You will have to kind of turn on your microphone so everybody can hear you. And if you have any questions, you can do everything but vote with us, okay?
Thank you.
So we'd love to have you. If you have any questions, lean over. You can write me notes. We got it. But okay? All right.
Thank you, great to have you. Up next, we have patron comments. During patron comments, residents of the district and staff members are invited to address the Board of Education on issues related to the school district. Speakers are called forward in the order of sign-up, and each speaker has 3 minutes to make their remarks. Please remember that only one speaker is allowed at the podium at a time, and combining time or giving time to someone else is not permitted. The board appreciates that you have taken the time to come this evening, and we value both your input and perspective. I would like to remind everyone that we expect the speakers will remain civil and respectful when giving remarks. If anyone fails to comply with the board policies, regulations, and rules, we reserve the right to cut those 3 minutes short. For your convenience, our 3-minute clock is ready. And we welcome Adelaide Milton.
School board members, we hear you. We hear what you're saying when you sunset anti-racism resolutions and remove Black history and literature classes. We hear you when you target LGBTQ+ students with your policy proposals, when you rudely dismiss us. We hear you. But you don't hear us. You don't hear us when we email you, when we speak out at meetings, when we make petitions. When we do speak up, you attempt to silence us. You make no effort to engage students in these conversations, so the only recourse was a walkout. We are speaking and you are not listening. You demean and attack students who disagree with you. This board is not for all students. It is only for those who look like you, act like you, and agree with you. That's why I'm not asking you to listen today. I am here to appeal to students, parents, and voters in our community. The board won't listen to us, so I'm asking you to. Students, parents, teachers, we must keep speaking out. I am so incredibly proud of those of you who walked out and those of you here tonight. Despite a Board of Education that does not care about us, we are fighting for a district you can be proud of. We cannot stop speaking until we achieve that goal. To the adults in this district, you will hear from multiple candidates tonight. When listening to their speeches, consider, do they support the board's silencing of students? Or will they be the kind of board members who listen to students' voices in the community? I urge voters to listen to the students because this board does not. As students, we cannot elect the public officials that make these choices for us, but you can. I urge you to vote for people who will listen to and represent all students, candidates who will take action to ensure a learning environment that is welcome for all students and values our voices. Do not let the board's deaf ears lead us into silence. Speak out, speak often, speak loudly.
Up next, we have Adriana Kuhn.
I support our administration's decision to keep Black history and Black literature courses available for enrollment. And I support our board's decision last month to remove the social justice teaching standards set by the Southern Poverty Law Center for these courses. The Southern Poverty Law Center is not a neutral and unbiased source of standards for academics. The Southern Poverty Law Center has been criticized for its divisive approach that inaccurately labels individuals and organizations as hate groups. The influence from such a divisive organization on our educational standards raises questions about objectivity and the balanced presentation of information to our children. What groups does the Southern Poverty Law Center categorize as designated extremist hate groups? Well, they intentionally lump together true hate groups, such as the KKK, with other groups they claim are designated hate groups, like the American College of Pediatrics, the Baptist Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the American Border Patrol, and many more groups. They also specifically target Republicans by labeling people such as Senator Rand Paul and Ben Carson as neo-Nazis and white supremacists. Allowing a political radical activist group to set the standards for our children's curriculum at Francis Howell is unacceptable. I absolutely believe we need Black history and Black literature courses in our schools. But we cannot rely on national activist groups to set standards in curriculum we teach our children in our classes. Due to the previous board's actions in 2021, our academic independence was erroneously handed over to the Southern Poverty Law Center. And now, because of our board's vote last month, control over our educational standards were rightfully taken back. Last month's vote was never about removing Black history courses. The issue has always been about us as a district retaining our autonomy over our academic standards. Others are encouraging our elected officials to skirt their duties and hand over the keys to our children's education to radical activist groups. I firmly stand against ideologues that shame our school board directors for diligently performing their duties. We must, as a society, take back our schools. We must not fall victim to straw man arguments that strip our administration, teachers, board, and citizens of their rights to govern education in our community. Requiring our district to follow curriculum and standards set by a national activist group is dangerous. I urge administration and board to move swiftly to advance new versions of Black history and Black lit courses with standards set by our district. These are essential courses that provide a diverse learning environment.
Your time is up.
Good evening. Our school district is being dragged through the mud for removing Southern Poverty Law Center's social justice standards. Those curriculum standards put political activism in support of critical race theory and diversity, equity, and inclusion front and center. Those complaining accuse our board members and their supporters of being racist. This is a disgraceful political tactic. Statements from supporters of the SPL standards have made clear that this isn't just about the Black history and literature classes. Those behind the protests have said that it is virtually impossible to teach Black history in a politically neutral way. This is an open admission that the purpose of the SPL standards are not academic, but that their purpose is political activism. Political activism using a DEI framework. The complaints that these are just electives misleads the public. The content lead overseeing the development of these courses in a 2020 email to Dr. LeGarrette King said we want to overhaul our entire history curricula K through 12. So the district's plan was to use the SPLC standards as part of a complete rewrite of the social studies curriculum to incorporate DEI in every grade level. The permission to shift our schools' focus from academics to political activism is why the 2020 anti-racist resolution had to go. Those behind the protest opposed politically neutral courses and schools. I think our schools should remove political activism from our classrooms. The board, administrators, and teachers should be focused on giving our students a great knowledge base that will allow them to be successful in the future. We are misleading our students if we tell them that they should be focused on DEI or activism over academics. DEI is a powerful movement that has pervaded the educational system at large. I believe that diversity is important, but by diversity I mean diversity in its broadest form. Diversity of viewpoints, ethnicity, race, experience, socioeconomic background, and more. However, DEI is not about diversity in the purest form, but rather DEI is a political advocacy movement on behalf of certain groups that are deemed oppressed under DEI's own methodology. Under DEI, one's degree of oppression is determined using a so-called intersectional pyramid of oppression where whites, Jews, and Asians are deemed oppressors, and a subset of people of color, LGBT people, and or women are deemed to be oppressed. When one examines DEI and its ideological heritage, it does not take long to understand that the movement is inherently inconsistent with basic American values. Our country, since its founding, has been about creating and building a democracy with equality of opportunity for all. An ideology that divides students into oppressors and the oppressed, based principally on race or sexual identity, is a fundamentally racist ideology that will likely lead to more racism rather than less. Thank you.
Next, we welcome Stephen Blair.
I would suggest that people here in attendance hold off booing people. We're going to try to live up the high road of civility, and we're going to do our best. On December the 21st, the board meeting removed the Black History and Black Literature elective courses from our 3 main high schools. It's true that technically the vote removed the standards that the curriculum was based on and not the courses themselves, but that is misleading the public, and you knew it. You can hear in the 229 mark where Buckman explained that moving those standards meant removing the courses as an enrollment option. Removing those course offerings as options was the whole point for the urgent vote happening on December 21st, based upon Director Cook's Facebook comments on December the 20th. The culture the current majority is creating is harming efforts at teacher retention and teacher recruitment. I'm eager to learn about the replacement curriculum, whose voices are included in its creation, and what largely politically neutral means to our board majority. No one knows what you think that includes. On Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the Francis Howell Family's Political Action Committee said, Dr. King led a just and righteous movement that started in our nation's churches. His dreams should never be forgotten or replaced. And then replaced a curriculum because it was associated with one of Martin Luther King Jr.'s allies. Which one is it? Do you want to replace or not replace Martin Luther King Jr.? Schools should teach facts even if they make us uncomfortable. That includes accurate math, accurate science, accurate geography, and accurate history. Imagine there was a class dealing with the history of the 1990s, and imagine the Democrats trying to take away references to Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton's lies. Wouldn't removing those details be politically motivated? Wouldn't the absence of those facts be politically motivated? An accurate history of the 90s would have to include those facts. And whatever the new curriculum is, it must include an accurate, honest history, even if the facts make some people uncomfortable. Removing facts is politically motivated, and so is threatening schools and threatening students. On MLK Day of all days, the Francis Howell Family's Political Action Committee of political activists wanted to make sure students were properly punished for participating in today's walkout. They were more interested in punishing students for speaking than listening to them. We celebrate some people who have students and their voices today. My question is, how long do we support their voices before we start silencing their voices too? Everything a school does should be for students. I'm not saying the students should get everything they want like candy for lunch, but what I'm saying is being for students means caring enough to listen to them. That has not happened with the board majority. When they were scaring people about the dangers of the bathroom bill, they ignored students saying vaping in bathrooms was a problem and ignored a student who said they experienced assault in a bathroom. They haven't listened to Viking Voices when they said that there was discrimination in the school, and when a student says that they've been bullied by a board member, they've ignored that voice too. Listen to students.
Thank you.
Point of order.
Up next, we welcome Katie Rash.
All right, this is just informational, but I just want to draw attention to an article that was co-authored by Ryan Crowley and Dr. LaGarrett King. And as many of us know, Dr. King was a consultant who was hired in curriculum development in our district. And it wasn't just for these 2 courses that are in question. There was actually at one point discussion of overhauling all social studies curriculum. There's an email from Sunshine Request that even says this, and Dr. King was, there was even some communication with Dr. King about this. So we do have those receipts. The name of the article is Making Inquiry Critical, Examining Power and Inequity in the Classroom. It's copyright in 2018. Again, Crowley and King are the authors. And I think this is an important article because it ties together the concepts of critical theory and critical pedagogy. And it ties together these concepts. And Dr. King discusses what critical theory is. He talks about kind of the roots of it. He goes into the Marxist ties. This isn't something that conservatives have invented. If you want to read this, you can read this. He talks about the use of critical teaching practices in the classroom, and he specifically advocates for these critical teaching practices in the social justice curriculum. So I find that to be interesting, given the fact that he was a consultant. And please do take the time to read this 4-page article. It's not a huge commitment of time. We also have an email from the content director at the time, which is an email from her to Dr. LeGarrette King. And she says, I'm very excited that the group chose the JCPS model, as I'm a huge fan of getting the inquiry design model for social studies going here in Francis Howell School District. And this is the perfect class to think about teaching this way. So the inquiry design model is a specific application. It can occur outside of critical teaching, but in his article he outlines that the inquiry design model is a roadmap for critical teaching. Thank you for your time.
Next, we welcome Sophia Johnson.
I'd like to start by inviting the students up here that would like to stand in solidarity for the Black History and Black Literature courses. Good evening. My name is Sophia Johnson. When I was in 5th grade, I was here fighting for representation in the school district. I was so excited and proud of our school district for moving in a better direction when they added the Black Literature and Black History courses, but I knew from there that there would be pushback from the community. However, I hoped that the board at the time and the boards to come would have enough guts to stand on their decision. Today, 3 years later, as an 8th grader, I stand here to speak to the board members opposed to the Black History and Black Literature courses. However, I not only stand as a student myself, but as a representative for many other students that feel disgusted and overlooked by your actions. Your job as a school board to do good for students is being overshadowed by your agenda to keep a bunch of adults with heavy bias happy, when in reality this doesn't concern any of them. It concerns your students and you. The fact is, schools are falling apart, teachers are underpaid, staff is quitting left and right, and you have decided to focus on removing an elective course about our history. Black history and Black literature are important courses that should be taught. Your students are protesting in the halls for these courses, yet you choose to do nothing and take the opinions of people who wouldn't and couldn't take these classes into consideration more than your own students. We feel discriminated against and underrepresented. You have made us confused, hurt, and saddened with the realization that you 5 are trying to whitewash our history and culture that is beautiful. And to the members of the community that are against these courses, please silently ask yourself, do I believe in the betterment of the next generation in their education, or do I believe in silencing history and keeping the social bias that has plagued this country for too long alive? By normalizing things like this, like what the board is trying to do, as a community of adults, you mess up our future by dividing the youth even more. And if you can't work cohesively for the better of students, how do you expect your children to? We as students deserve better, and until you can do better, I speak for many students when we say we will never stop fighting for what is right, and you will never neutralize and water down our history. Before I leave here today, I'd like to ask you a question. Do you believe in doing what a school board should do and fight for your students thick or thin, or do you believe in your own agenda and removing these courses? Thank you for all the students that stood behind me today. I really do appreciate you all. Thank you for all fighting to do the right thing, and I think
your time is up.
Up next, we welcome Greg Keelan.
Good evening, board, administration, students, and patrons here and at home. I'm Grant Killian, Senior Class President at Francis Howell North. Board, I recently learned a lesson that I would like to share with you. As you're aware, the board held a meeting this past Saturday morning to better inform the district's strategic planning. Treasurer Pushkar, still recovering from her unfortunate injury, I'm very glad to see her, I hope you're feeling a lot better, was unable to attend the meeting and zoomed into the meeting via laptop as a consequence thereof. To be clear, I was totally unaware that Mrs. Pushkar would not be attending in person. She had attended the December meeting in person, and I failed to consider that the inclement weather conditions may have forced her to do otherwise this past Saturday. However, I did not even come to the decision to attend the meeting until late the previous evening, and I never informed anybody really of my plan to go. In fact, a friend of mine told me he wished I had told him I had planned to go because he would have came. When I arrived bright and early, it became clear that I'd be pretty much the only student at the meeting. Now, I'm kind of dorky. I go to a lot of school board meetings, and so it wouldn't be the first meeting where I was the only student. But President Bertrand informed me of Mrs. Pushkar's absence and asked me if I would be interested in help her out by carrying her laptop, writing down her ideas, and putting down her votes. I happily agreed. I'd do that for any board meeting, and I think, save for some improvements that could be made to my penmanship, I think I did a pretty good job. Yes, at times I helped Mrs. Pushkar to word ideas. I gave suggestions when I thought it was of value, but ultimately the final call as to whether any idea was posted or any vote was cast was Mrs. Pushkar's. So I was very surprised, as you can imagine, when I found out some of the more vocal critics of the board were calling into questions myself and my actions. They argued that there was some sort of conspiracy to have me help, despite there being no other student and my attendance being totally unplanned and none of you knew about it. They argued that I should have been totally robotic and unhelpful towards Mrs. Pushkar, despite the fact that I can anytime shoot her a message, I'm 18, I can vote, about how I feel about this district. This reaffirmed a lesson I think the board would benefit from also employing. There are some people, no matter what you do, regardless if you do the right or wrong thing, they will be displeased. They will always find a reason to be unhappy. Upon any decision you make or any stance you take, they will find some way to feel aggrieved. I think the board ought to consider this, especially Mr. Ponder as he works towards the revamped belonging resolution, that not all input is given in good faith, and that the board should pay special consideration to those who actually seek to motivate positive change, not vocal contrarians who are not concerned with the welfare of the whole body of students, including those I represent. As the board looks to improve certain classes, there will undoubtedly be some voices who will only seek to complain and will not find favor no matter what outcome is reached. I urge the board to only consider legitimate, constructive input. I appreciate the board's leadership in this district. I appreciate how responsive they have been to the needs of students, and I look forward to many good things to come. Thank you very much.
Next, we welcome Michaela Clark.
Good evening, Adam Bertrand, Randy Cook, Jane Puskar, Mark Ponder, and Ron Harmon. I'm Michaela Clark, a sophomore at Francis Howell High School. Over the years, I've faced racist comments and microaggressions, experiences I wouldn't want anyone to experience. Learning about the removal of Black history and Black literature courses on December 21st was infuriating, but sadly not surprising. Instances like this will be remembered in the future. Since second grade, I've encountered discrimination from comments on my natural hair to uncomfortable interactions with my band director who thought it was appropriate to touch my hair. Our Black history and literature courses are optional, and I believe all students should have the opportunity to learn about their history. There are elective courses for all other core classes, so what makes this one different? The non-political reinstatement class erases a crucial part of Black history, as it is virtually impossible to teach Black history in a non-political point of view. As a 16-year-old, I shouldn't have to call out a racist and bigoted school board. The board should represent the interests of us, the students. I won't be silenced, and many others stand with me. This is just the beginning of our fight for an inclusive learning environment. Thank you.
Up next, we welcome Janie Wilkins.
Good evening, Francis Howell Board, Administration, and Community. My name is Janie Wilkins, and I live in the district with 2 children attending our great FHSD schools. 2 years ago, I took another education position outside of our district, but I taught for 21 years proudly high school English and advised the student council at Francis Howell North. During those years, I earned my master's degree and national board certification in the teaching of adolescents and young adults. Shout out to those teachers who just were introduced earlier. I see you in your efforts. It's not easy. Over the years, teaching in FHSD, I collaboratively wrote at least 5 English curriculums with teams of other talented educators. I'm speaking tonight to offer transparency about the thinking that went into the writing of the Black literature curriculum. The most recent curriculum I was a part of writing. When the Black literature course writing team first met, we began our work with lots of questions. Were we going to teach the semester elective with a chronological look at Black writers throughout literary movements like the Harlem Renaissance or Beat poets? We decided no, because the desire to create a high-interest class for our teenagers meant a different angle with recent texts, and student choice was necessary and backed by learning research. Could we just jump right into reading authors discussing their hopes, dreams, and experiences? This was also an easy no, because all English teachers know that context is everything. We know that messages are created with specific audiences in mind. And every student in our class was coming from a different perspective, as they do in all English classes taught in our district. Here's what we landed on. Of course, we decided on those Missouri ELA standards that we would hit because every curriculum begins with standards. The Black Lit course needed to begin with framework for respectful discussions. Lots of English classes also include this. These include those opinions that agree and disagree with texts, that are read because that is how we drive inquiry and critical thinking of teenagers. Full stop here. All of this is pre-COVID. Pre-political polarization, pre-every American is pressured to choose a side on all issues. In the context of my work, I had never heard the terms CRT, indoctrination, or identity groups, just to name a few. Okay, back to behind the curriculum decision making. We settled on those standards because we found a document that had great discussion questions for students to enter into tough conversations. These are those Southern Poverty Law standards. They had great discussion questions. Lots of us teachers actually have been receiving a Teaching Tolerance magazine for many years in our career because they sent free posters. I once got a free video that had interviews of Holocaust survivors from them that I used in the classroom. Nobody had ever talked about them being a political group. In discussing identity, that was to become a politicized term now. We imagine students discussing their identities in terms of their own hopes, dreams, and backgrounds. Did we set out to make all white students feel badly?
Your time is up.
Absolutely not.
Next, we welcome King Gontars. Up next, we welcome Susan Schneider.
Well, hello. I'm here to speak on behalf of my daughter Harper, who is otherwise engaged tonight. I am very proud of her and my son, who both attend Francis Howell North. They were part of the walkout today. So here is part of her speech that she read during the walkout. Our school board's actions have been marked by a discernible pattern of discrimination against our students, the removal of the anti-racism resolution, the proposal of dangerous anti-LGBTQ+ policies, attempts to silence and intimidate students, and the elimination of Black history and Black literature classes from our curriculum have left us deeply troubled. The board sent out a statement a couple of weeks ago saying that if it comes to a politically neutral curriculum rewrite, this gesture of the politically neutral curriculum raises a sense of skepticism around this, especially based on their past actions. We cannot stand idle in the face of erasure. The board's failure to acknowledge the harm caused and their reluctance to revisit critical decisions demand our attention. Why did they reject motions to maintain the classes until a new politically neutral curriculum was in place? Why is our school board against our students? Their intentions seem clear: an erasure of Black voices and minorities from our education. The board tries to keep shutting us down and silencing our voices. We will not be silenced. We will be heard. Thank you.
Next, we welcome Sincere McDaniels.
Hi, my name is Sincere McDaniels. I'd like to make it known this is my first time speaking at one of these. I wanted to come up here today to talk about my experience as a student that has been an FHSD member my entire life, specifically highlighting my 8th grade year. In 8th grade, I was faced with a lot of bullying from other students, a lot of passing comments from principals and teachers alike. The first encounter I remember in 8th grade was from a principal when I went to them talking about how I was getting bullied over the texture of my hair, the color of my skin, how I present, my social class, and how I identify. When I told the principal, she compared my hair to another black student's and said it couldn't be a race issue. It couldn't be something with my hair because another student also had an afro. Another incident I remember is when a student called me the N-word, and then I went to report it to the teacher of the class. He pulled me out into the hallway and asked if he had called me the ER or the A version of the word, spelling it out. He was white. I told him exactly what was said, and nothing happened. I don't blame the principal for this specific incident. It could have just been a bad teacher. But if any of you would be able to put yourself in my shoes, you would understand the hurt that this caused and the ever-growing untrust I have with the school and the school board. I know so many students and so many FHSD members have come up here and talked about the rampant homophobia that occurs in our district. I don't understand why the school board removed the anti-racism resolution, removing protection from the people that need it most, especially when there's so many instances of discrimination happening in the district. It's unfair that I have to hear people using multiple racist, homophobic, and sexual remarks against me and my peers, and then seeing the students not be penalized for what they've done. So I asked the school board, why can't you protect the students that need protecting? And once again, why is it that I have to take time out of my school night to come here and speak before you? I wanted to come here today to show you that a person that's being directly affected by your school's pattern of racism and discrimination. For my closing statement, I want to thank everybody who decided to step down to make sure that my voice is uplifted. I truly appreciate you, and this small act of kindness is more than I've ever seen in a setting like this. Once again, thank you.
FHEA.
Good evening. I'm Anita Keener, the president of FHEA. First of all, I want to congratulate the teachers that earned National Board Certification. This evening, FHE believes it is important to share some things about our union with you. FHEA are teachers, content leads, coordinators, SLPs, ESCs that provide the best education in St. Charles County as reported in the state and district test scores. We work tirelessly for this district in many ways. Personnel issues are discussed in closed session for a reason. We do not deserve to be attacked on social media by sitting board members. Jane Pushkar called for the arrest of a teacher when that teacher's sunshine request was completely legal. Francis Howell employees do not deserve to be maligned on social media by sitting board members because they share or like posts, wear a certain color shirt, or support students, each other, or the district. When are we as a district going to come together and agree to disagree, but be able to communicate and work together? No one works well with a my way or the highway attitude. That is not what attracts folks to come to our district. We should all have an interest in giving our students the best education we can. We may disagree sometimes on how to get there, so why not meet in the middle, coming to an agreement that we can all live with for the good of all of our students. We cannot continue to be the district that is not attracting the best of the best, or the district that is getting negative national news for disrespecting our students, educators, and our community. We can do better.
FISPA? Representatives from FISPA?
Hi, my name is Mike Pagnotti. I'm here. I'm custodial vice president and speaking on behalf of Local 1. I'm here to speak on behalf on an issue you guys are on the custodial foreman position you guys are going to vote on tonight. I've been working for the district for almost 18 years. Since starting with the district, our workforce has been steadily cut by more than half. There's been always been only 2 people overseeing the department, and now with less people, you're looking to add another foreman. We feel that it would be more beneficial to help the buildings and the cost of salaries to hire 2 lower paid custodians as floaters than 1 working foreman. You would have 2 people covering more areas than 1 at about the same rate of pay. That just makes more common sense to us. So we ask that you reconsider that position when you're thinking about it. Thank you.
The board would like a motion to approve the consent agenda for January 18th, 2024 as presented.
So moved.
With Director Stiglitz. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. Next, we have information on the financial report. Would like a motion to approve the December monthly financial report as presented.
So moved.
Second. Ponder. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. Board would like a motion to approve the purchases $25,000 and greater as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Director Ponder. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. Board, I'd like a motion to approve a resolution authorizing and directing the issuance, sale, and delivery of general obligation refunding bonds, Missouri Direct Deposit Program, Series 2024 of the Francis Howell R3 School District, St. Charles, Missouri, prescribing the form and details of said bonds, providing for the levy and collection of the annual tax for the purpose of paying the principal of and interest on said bonds as they become due, refunding certain of the district's outstanding general obligation bonds, and authorizing certain other documents and actions in connection therewithin.
So moved.
Cook. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Or like a motion to approve the vacation station and preschool tuition proposal as presented.
So moved.
Second. Cook. Ponder. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. Up next, we'll have a construction update for Prop S from Mr. Saloom Stutzer.
Good evening, Board. Before I present to you on the construction update, I do want to take a second to acknowledge just our fantastic operations team. As I think several or many of you are aware, with the cold temperatures this weekend, we had a couple of water losses at about 5 school sites, and the response was just phenomenal. We were able to clean up and restore those spaces to minimize the impact it had on instruction. And I think outside of relocating a couple of classes at a couple of school sites, they were successful. So kudos to those individuals for being pulled away for their families to support the district. So obviously it's been a little bit since I've presented a true construction report on Francis Howell North. As we talked about before, we've been trying to kind of provide updates on a quarterly basis. And so this evening, we'll talk a little bit about Francis Howell North, as well as provide just a quick update on where we're at with some of the other scopes of work that you guys have recently approved at the December board meeting. So, and again, these slides, I just had a construction progress meeting today. These slides are about a week old, obviously, due to needing to make the board packets for public consumption. But this is the site overview. We've made significant progress for all intents and purposes. The playing surface at the stadium is complete. We've got about 2 days worth of work left, and really the work is limited to putting down the rubber infill that helps protect our student athletes from injury. And so as soon as the weather kind of warms up next week, I know we're calling for a little bit of rain, but for the most part, we should have a couple of good days to perform some exterior work. We'll get that piece completed. And our goal here, the track surface is done. There's only a couple of items that still remain there. We've got to add the coloring as well as all of the competition striping markings. But our goal is to have the stadium portion really ready for some of the spring sports. And so what that will do is it'll allow us to pivot a little bit. And right now we're currently having to transport those kids to various sites throughout the area for practices. So if we won't play any competitions there, it'll just it'll give us the opportunity to just hold practices there. And for those students who are seniors, it'll give them a chance to experience a new facility as they get out. So that's really the big piece there from a site overview. The temperatures over the last week have not been obviously conducive to get a lot of the remaining concrete work that's needed. But hopefully next week we'll be able to jump back on that and complete that scope of work. So moving inside, I was just on site today. This is the auxiliary gym. And as you see here, we've got a lot of the acoustical baffles in the ceiling as well as the acoustical panels on the wall for sound absorption. We also have all of the subfloor down for the gym floor. It's actually installed. They're about 98, 99% complete. They've got a couple of more areas to finish, and then they'll sand those floors and get all of the necessary markings applied. This is the main gym. As you see, all of the, again, very similar to the auxiliary, we've got all of the acoustical baffles as well as the acoustical panels on the walls. All of the glass handrail is complete as well. We do have a couple of sections that we've left out. That way we can still get materials in and out. All of the equipment is hung, and the gym floor is actually staged in the floor there, really for the purpose of acclimating. We have to acclimate that floor to that environment before we can install it. This is one of the collaboration spaces on the upper level. As you see, we've got the framing complete, and we'll be able to get the surface installed here. But we've got, I think, approximately 7 or 8 of these spaces throughout the building. just little breakout areas for small group work as teachers see fit. So that'll be a nice feature as we open that new building. This is the administrative, part of the administrative area. Obviously, to the right of the screen, there's offices, but this is really the mail room, and behind the mail slots will be a staff workspace. So you'll have copiers as well as a couple of workstations for the front office staff to be able to perform some of their functions. And again, what's taking place right now and throughout much of the building, we're painting areas, we're getting some of the final finishes down, such as flooring and other casework in specific areas. This is the guidance reception area. They just finished installing the luxury vinyl floor tile in there. So that'll cure, and then they'll move on to other spaces. This is the kitchen prep area. They actually have this a week ago. They had prepped the space and they've already installed the resinous flooring. So that's complete. It's got a cure for a few days, and then they'll start installing all of the stainless steel workstations that our cafeteria staff will utilize to prepare food for our students. Financials, the escalation is where it's at. We've used about 25% roughly there. And then as of the December pay application that was submitted, we are, sorry, I'm starting to need glasses here. We have 87% billed to date for a total of $143,475,233. We've got 12% unbilled. So here in the coming months, as we continue to wrap up some of the work, obviously we'll still have some billings left because we still have the demo to complete of the existing building and the developing of those practice fields for our co-curricular programs. So that completes the Francis Howell North update. I'll pause there, take any questions before I talk about the remaining scopes that you guys have approved from a timeline standpoint.
Do we have, I know that we keep talking that the kids are going to be in by this next school year. Do we have a completion date when they would be turning the building over to us yet? I know there had been some talk that it might be end of March, beginning of April. Has anything been finalized along those lines?
Nothing finalized. What I'll share with you is we're still on track, Director Stiglich. In fact, on the lower level, a lot of our general classrooms, we're going to start getting those turned over to us next week, because part of the district responsibilities with this particular project is our floor care program. So we'll have to go in there and get the factory finish off of the VCT flooring and then apply, protect that flooring with wax, which is a typical standard in terms of what we do throughout all of our buildings. So we'll do that starting in the lower floor, and as they turn those more spaces over, we'll continue that program throughout the rest of the building. Our goal is to have that finished. I've got furniture scheduled to be delivered April 1st. We'll get 2 shipments of those. They'll ship the furniture in 2 shipments, April 1st and April 15th. And our goal is to have really all the furniture in the building by the end of April. Then there'll be some other FF&E things that we'll have to kind of move around to fill out the spaces. So we still feel pretty good about we're on schedule.
Slim, you mentioned the rubber fill that's going into the football field. Having played on a lot of those fields, it's a necessary thing that goes into it so that you don't get stuck and get burned by the actual fake grass itself. When you were sourcing that, there have been some studies that have shown that there could possibly be some detrimental health effects for this long-term health effects for students that play on that and people that play on those types of field. Did you look into anything when sourcing that kind of stuff, that those rubber pellets?
Yeah, so I can't speak specifically to this project because obviously I wasn't here when the sourcing of that field was taking place. But what I can tell you is from an industry standard. A lot of people have done a lot of research, and the effects of that, to my knowledge, are non-existent, because it's still a product that has continued to, it's on the market, and everybody from the NFL down to college, as well as throughout the state of Missouri in terms of high school programs, continue to turf is the choice.
Right.
And so I would assume a lot of people have done the studies, and there's no concerns.
I'm much like you. I would hope that anything that's on the market is deemed safe to be, I don't want negative health effects to be, in the future, students come back and say, I played on your football field for 4 years and here's where I am at.
Certainly understand.
Yeah.
Okay, I will move on to there's no pretty pictures in these next couple of slides, but just wanted to provide a quick update on where we're at with behind the scenes work. Obviously, at the December board meeting, the board approved the security vestibules to let that bid package out. We issued that on the 8th of January. We're scheduled for the bid opening on the 25th, which I believe is next Thursday. And just a quick note, we kind of went back and looked at the data. Once we issued the bid package, we had 12 general contractors that picked up the construction documents, which is usually a pretty good sign that they're going to bid the project. And I was able to touch base with several of them, and I think we have at least 6 commitments that they'll submit bids on the 25th. So that's good competition. So we hope that that holds true. That way we can create competition, hopefully bring back some good numbers for board consideration for approval for a construction contract. So our goal is still to bring back a recommendation to you to award a construction contract at the February board meeting. And pending your approval, we still intend to start construction on security vestibules in June, as soon as the academic year is concluded at those sites. Moving on to Henderson Elementary Phase 2 scope. Again, our goal here is to bring back a construction package to you to let bids at the March board meeting. And pending your approval, we would issue that bid package March 28th and make those bids due April 25th, and again come back to the board and bring a recommendation to award a construction contract at the May board meeting, and again start construction in June pending your approval. And then lastly here, Fairmount, again, very similar schedule. The only thing that really changes is we've kind of built a buffer in terms of a month between the Henderson packages as well as the Fairmount, just to allow us to work the market in terms of the bid packages as well as bringing back recommendations. So we will we'll bring a recommendation or a motion to you to let that bid package at the April board meeting, and then we would issue that early May, and for bid opening late May, and then bring back a recommendation to award a construction contract at the June board meeting and begin construction in July. So that concludes my construction update to you. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
On these renovation projects, how long does it typically take between construction award and mobilization and bringing ground? I mean, there's a long, in my experience, a lot of submittals that take several weeks, if not months.
Yeah, so typically, pending, post-board approval, the awarding of the construction contract, we'd issue a notice to proceed, and that really, there's a lot of materials that can be ordered just through that notice to proceed after board approval. And then we'll have pre-construction meetings to start talking about submittals and those schedules. So typically, the submittal phase, I would probably say about a month and a half on some of the larger packages. The secure vestibule, most of those, it's smaller package in the whole grand scheme of things, and we should be through with that process within a week or so. All right, so no other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have an update on the Black History, Black Literature course revisions. Dr. Patron.
Meeting board. You're very stealthy. Excuse me. There. We have a brief update tonight about the Black History and Black Literature courses. As you know, at the December board meeting, the decision to rescind the approval of the social justice standards and all curricula tied to them meant that we no longer had a board-approved curriculum for those courses. And as I explained during that meeting, that meant that we wouldn't be including those two courses in our course enrollment guide, given that our current practice is to only include courses that have a currently board-approved curriculum. I understand that statement may have caused some confusion because in past years we operated under a different practice which did allow us to include courses in previous course enrollment guides before they were board-approved. Late last spring, an internal decision was made to adjust our practice to only include courses in the handbook that had board approval. That decision had nothing to do with these specific courses, this really is our first year operating under our updated practice. The days that followed the meeting, we removed the courses, we pushed out an updated enrollment guide to our buildings, just as we shared during the board meeting. Shortly thereafter, there was a decision made to make a special exception in this instance to our current practice and include the two courses in the course enrollment guide in the anticipation of the board approving a revised curriculum prior to the fall semester. So with this unique exception, we again revised the course enrollment guide, added the courses to it, and we pushed the updates out to our buildings into the district website with the courses added back into the course enrollment guide. Just want to take a minute to acknowledge all of our building administrators, our counselors, those in charge of helping with the translations who've been very patient with us as we've communicated the changes multiple times in a very short amount of time. I recognize that there have been a few different versions of the course enrollment guide, and some of you may have received a copy that didn't have the courses included in them. And just wanted to take a minute to offer an explanation about why you may have received a copy of an enrollment guide that didn't have the courses listed in them. It really wasn't intentional on anyone's behalf. It was just lots of moving pieces with quick turnaround times. Our real purpose for joining you tonight is to share how we're moving forward. Based on the direction from the board, our plan is to remove the social justice standards from our current courses and bring the revised courses to you in the next couple of months for approval. The group actually kicked off their work today. They were here in the building working. I have Dr. Luke Lammers with us. He's our Director of Curriculum in High School, and he's going to share a little bit about the process and the timeline of what's happening with the group doing the revision work.
Good evening, Board. Earlier this month, we reached out to the current teachers of the Black History and Black Literature courses to invite them to participate in a curriculum revision process. They have joined members of the academic department and I to revise the current curriculum documents. As we complete these updates, our team is ensuring that both courses continue to be fully aligned with the Missouri Learning Standards for Social Studies and English Language Arts and provide a rigorous learning experience. As this is only a curriculum revision, we are not starting from scratch to complete this work. In addition, every teacher participating in this effort has been teaching the courses and is very familiar with the Missouri Learning Standards. To proceed in a timely fashion and to allow for productive collaboration, we have provided some release time to complete the work. Once the documents are revised, these courses will follow our updated curriculum process. First, they'll be sent to content area teachers for feedback. In this case, that will include high school English Language Arts and social studies teachers. At the same time, the updated curriculum documents will be made available for community review and input. Both sets of feedback will then be provided to the curriculum writers for their consideration as they make final modifications. One minor adjustment that we made is that we rescheduled the curriculum review event that was scheduled for January 11th. We did this so that these two courses could be included in the review process that was already scheduled for 15 other curriculum documents. After updated curriculum documents are made available for public review, on the evening of January 29th, content leaders and curriculum writers for all 17 curriculum documents will be available here in the boardroom so that community members can stop by if they feel the need to ask questions about Black history, Black literature, or any of the other 15 curriculum documents. Patrons will also be able to email the team with feedback or to ask questions about any of the updated courses. From there, our final step in the curriculum process is a review and vote by the Curriculum Council. This group of volunteers will ensure that we followed our process and didn't miss any steps along the way. They will review the teacher and community feedback and will see any revisions that were made as a result. They will see the final versions of all 17 curriculum documents, including the updated versions of Black History and Black Literature. That evening, we will hopefully receive their seal of approval so we can bring all 17 documents to the February Board of Education meeting for a first reading, and then again to the March meeting for approval.
Again, Board, our intention was just to bring you a brief update of where we are and kind of what we have planned in terms of a process and a timeline. I do want to give Dr. Lammers and the team working just a quick shout out. No one had this in their plan for February, and they've been gracious enough to kind of stop and make time to do this, and just want to show our appreciation for them, their willingness to accommodate that in their schedules. So again, thank you for the opportunity to just share a little bit of our plan.
Is there a chance to make comments on this part? Okay, great. First of all, thank you, Dr. Buckman and Dr. Lammers, for doing that. I would also like to thank Ms. Wilkins for sharing what was done at the beginning of this course, since everybody knows that I was one of two up here that voted for that curriculum and at the time, and stood proudly by that decision and will stand proudly by that decision today. I would really like to hope that this new curriculum is going to honor the intention and the spirit of the original elective courses that we had going. I think that that's really important for all of our kids. I treasure every single one of our students and will always do what's best for them. I ran on that. I heard people ran on different things on their election. I ran on the fact that I would always do what's best for kids, and I will stand by that.
Next, we have
Point of order.
let us continue with our meeting. Next, we have
I'd like to make a
Superintendent
motion. I'd like to make a motion that we take a 2-minute break so these people can be under control.
Up next, we'll turn it over to Dr. Rappes for superintendent comments.
Thank you, President Bertrand. I wasn't going to comment directly on the student walkouts today, as I have communicated directly to our school community about them, and will continue to also work with our students to understand their thoughts and what led them to today's action. However, I do want to recognize that our students' behavior at all 3 high schools during today's walkouts sets an example for all of us. Maybe you want to hear me finish. While I respect and value everyone's First Amendment right to be heard, the hooting, the hollering, and the personal attacks that take place in this room during Patron Commons is disappointing, and it concerns me that that's the example that we're setting for students in this district and students who attend our board meetings, including our student board rep and other students that we're recognizing month after month. To be clear, I welcome discourse, I welcome disagreement, but if we have any hope of engaging in meaningful work to move forward as a district, it needs to be done in a respectful manner. I would also like to reiterate Mr. Stutzer's comments and recognize and thank our maintenance, grounds, and custodial teams for all of the extra work they put in as a result of the frigid temperatures last week. The strategies they put in place ahead of the deep freeze to prepare really helped limit damages to our buildings. Though we still had a few pipes burst, we weren't affected nearly in the same way we were last year or as other surrounding districts. Many thanks to Mr. Stutzer, his managers, the team members, and also the administrators and teachers who had to ultimately both prepare for that and also clean up in our schools. Last Saturday, the board held a workshop to identify areas of focus for the district as we embark on our next strategic planning process.
We look forward to working with the board to finalize the 5-year goals and then involve our staff, students, patrons, other interested community members in discussions about how we can improve and innovate in the areas that were identified by the board. The areas that were talked about on Saturday include academics, safety and security, district finances, and attracting and retaining great employees. We'll keep the community updated as we move forward with this process. I want to share how proud I am of 6 students from Francis Howell North who will be representing the district in the Missouri All-State Choir. A total of 192 singers from throughout the state of Missouri were selected to perform this year with this prestigious group. The Missouri All-State Choir will perform on Saturday, January 27th as the grand finale of the Missouri Music Educators Conference and Clinic that will be held in Osage Beach. Not only do our schools have incredible choirs, but our bands are also outstanding, and the Spartan A Band has received an invitation to showcase their talent at the Misha State Basketball Tournament in March. So I want to congratulate the 110 members of that band on that honor. A very special shout out for our very own Jared Broadbrooks. Mr. Broadbrooks is the band director. We have a music theme tonight, but he is the band director at Barnwell. But while he's not busy leading young musicians, he is training for a very important upcoming race, which would be the Olympics. He recently flew to Sacramento to race in the Olympic qualifier marathon race where he placed 7th. This means that he is officially an Olympic marathon qualifier, and he will get to travel to Orlando in February to race. If he's in the top 3, he will get to go to Paris as an official Olympian. So congratulations to him and good luck. I shared in an email last week that we are working to schedule citizen roundtable conversations for February and March to discuss ways we can create a welcoming environment for all students and staff in the district. These forums were successful last year in providing a structured opportunity for stakeholders to provide input, thoughts, feelings that will support our action steps that we can take as a district to move forward, and we'll be sharing those dates in the next several weeks. Last, I want to remind everyone that our February board meeting is a week earlier than normal and will take place on February 8th. Thank you.
Any board comments?
I just want to thank our custodial staff and everybody again for keeping our buildings nice and warm. As a Wisconsin person, you guys, it wasn't all that cold. Come on. But it was cold. We got a couple more days of it, so get there. I want to thank Isaac again for joining us. I think he's got a few things he wants to share. And I want to thank everybody else, and stay warm this weekend, guys.
Thank you. I want to bring up to the board's attention, as a student in this district, I would like to bring up to your attention that as a Latin and Spanish student in the Francis Howell School District, why can't I have a history class? Why can't I have a class that's dedicated to my background? I'm from South America. My background can come from Spain. It can come from anywhere in the world. Why can't I have that? I would like that joy in order to be a student, to have that. And I would also like to once again thank Ms. Menino and Dr. Rich and my family for supporting me during this day. Thank you.
Okay, I have a few comments. Let me pull them. With every video I've ever seen of any school boards with a school board interacting with parents and patrons, the parents are yelling at the school board to get the CRT, sexual indoctrination, and other things out of their schools. Keep the boys out of the girls' bathrooms, not in FHSD. Parents yell that we're racist, sexist, homophobic if we remove CRT and try to keep the students in the bathroom they were assigned at birth. Make no mistake, we were elected by the majority and we will govern that way. I've heard that teachers were wearing black t-shirts on the first day of the new year to show their support for Black history and Black literature courses. Certainly, I believe in the freedom of opinion, but think about the opinions you're sharing with the students. You're sharing that although the classes have been and will be available this year and next with no interruption, you would like to protest the process. Since there's really nothing else that you could be protesting, we are still searching for a suitable curriculum. And finally, to our administrators and patrons, I suggest a read of Policy 0310. For those of you that offer up what isn't possible, please understand what is entirely possible before claiming that it isn't. I've been told that we need to work on math scores and retention of teachers. I assure you that this board is very capable and willing to work on that, and that's exactly why we're making changes to compensation for the teachers. More on that later. My reasoning for I didn't pull the item, so never mind. We will be adopting more changes in the Francis Howell in order to restore order and decency to this district as mandated by the majority and our board policies. I'm honored to be a part of that progress. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the students of this great district.
I have a quick comment. We keep hearing that the curriculum next year is going to be uninterrupted, but we're still not positive that's even going to happen. Correct? It still have to be board approved. So I think it's a little misleading to state that.
I don't think so at all. I think we have a few curriculums that I know of.
It has to
I
be
know
board
that
approved. Until that time.
That's a vote. We wouldn't be approving anything. I mean, we'll have them in
There could be something else
August.
that comes up.
Like what?
What we haven't even seen it.
We know, well, some of us know that there's
I'm sure
curriculums
you
that
do.
are perfectly acceptable, that are ready-made and ready to go.
Can't you tell this is confusing?
Point of order.
I'd like to start by saying I'm appreciative of the board and the admin for taking some time out of their Saturday morning as we continue our strategic planning work started over the summer. And I hope everybody in the community had some rest and reflection over the long, cold weekend and Martin Luther King Day. While Dr. King's work and thoughts may be more complex and nuanced than many know, the shared principles that arose have forever changed an imperfect nation for the better. The values that have survived as his legacy have helped our country get closer to the founding ideals. Where we judge people as individuals they are and not by immutable qualities they possess. The Francis Howell School District has a robust minority population that continues to grow. Over the last 10 years, the Hispanic and multiracial populations have more than doubled, and the Asian population increased by a third, along with many others. I would expect that these trends continue, as the district is one of the highest performing in the state and one with the lowest tax rates a St. Louis family can find. All children can come to Francis Howell for an outstanding education. It is a lasting example of Dr. King that districts like ours work to empower students and prepare them for their future. It is a testament to our time that all citizens, even students, can use their voices to provide their perspective and contribute to the conversation. And I welcome the contribution. I'd also like to say some thank yous tonight. First, I'd like to thank all the volunteers for the Francis Howell Mobile Market, and no, I did not coordinate this with Isaac, but thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you for everything that you do for our students.
I'd like to thank all the administrators and teachers for completing all the hard work to guide students through the first half of the year and getting through finals. And finally, I want to call out something I felt was overshadowed at last month's meeting and deserves recognition. Mr. Harry Harris, who I believe is still here, donated the remaining funds of last year's school board campaign, nearly $3,000 to the Lunch Heroes program, and I thank him for that. I'm also thankful for all the actions and all the others that go unrecognized to make our community better. It's action like these, looking out to those truly in need, that help make Francis Howell School District the One Howell community that it is. And thank you to everybody for attending tonight. Board, like a motion to adjourn open session. Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Ayes have it.